Hey everybody, welcome into the All the Rhythm Fancy Studios. I'm your host Jamie, and I got my guest, or not guest, my co-host Eli over there on the other side. Welcome on in. We are Out of Rhythm Fancy Sports guys. So we're gonna actually do a little deep dive before we go anywhere. Make sure you guys follow us on Spotify, YouTube, the X or Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, the Instagram. And then we got our Discord link at the bottom too as well. And if you like our Instagram's I'm kind of trying different stuff with the Instagram a little bit, see what hits and what doesn't hit, but it's a work in progress over there for content over there. So I'll try and smaller stuff over there for things like that. And yeah, other than that, that's where you can find our lovely selves.
Yeah, well, Instagram, I have an idea of what to do, but yeah, like LA Knight says, but eh, you know, I'll save it for OnlyFans. I'll save it for OnlyFans because might involve me taking off some
Uh,
clothes if you catch my drip.
Catch the drift.
No, we're tag team back again. Uh, Hopping into the ring here, laying the elbow like Randy Savage. Although, freaking Jey Uso, yeet, won the Royal Rumble. So it
Oh
was a
yes, I forgot
yeah,
about that.
good week of wrestling. Jey Uso won the men's Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair, woo, won the women's Royal Rumble. Had some other stuff going on.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus is right. We might. It's right because it's our show. Damn it. Okay, we're here. It's late. We don't give a shit. It's our
Yeah, it's
channel.
super
You
late.
want to stream?
Yeah.
You want to stream at what 10:44 Central Time? We're gonna do it. And I
Right.
got my trusty cocktail here. I think Jay's drinking some garage beer. So
Well, not
we're having a
anymore. My lovely
I guess
beast.
he's got the monster beast out. So we're gonna have a good old time here. As I was mentioning, maybe talk a little NBA trades at the end because there's a couple sticks in our craw that we just can't just let it go. Okay, there's
Yeah.
been a lot of monkey business going on in the NBA, but as always, like Jay always says, like, subscribe, do all that. You help us. The YouTube algorithms, they're a little crazy. They're a little crazy sometimes. So
Yeah.
you help us, kind of beat them up a little bit. Just give them an old look right to the face, right to the face. Just a quick jab. Help us grow the channel a little bit. But tonight, you know what? What are we talking, Jay? We're talking Senior Bowl and East West Shrine Bowl. Is that what we're getting to?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we are going to be talking about tonight. Yeah, and hey, if anybody out there watching, and if you want to jump in the comment section, that'd be great. And if you guys have any thoughts
Oh, the
on
show.
guys that, yeah, I mean, is this going to help the content? Is this going to help us? Just get out there a little bit more. Well, not get out there anymore, but I mean, it'll just help the conversation more because I know there's a lot of guys into Dynasty right now, and I mean, we've been doing more of the college side of fantasy football, which in turn, it kind of gives us a little leg up on some of the prospects that are actually coming out because we've seen what they've done, all year. We've talked, if you guys haven't catched our show, we've talked college waiver wires. I've actually put a top 4 guys to actually pick up for the week, and then we actually do like a top 9 defenses, kickers, and tight ends and stuff like that too as well. So I mean, this is helps us help you view these guys a little bit differently, because everybody's gonna be one-sided. You're like, well, everybody's written off. This, for example, everybody's written off Ollie Gordon. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Ollie Gordon. Nothing.
You know what? Like Sir Mix-a-Lot said, he's going to be right there to retrieve it.
Yeah.
You want to discard Ollie Gordon's ass? I'm going to be there to retrieve it. Just saying. Okay. You want to discard, somebody else for a bad performance. Even Drew Aller, the quarterback from Penn State. It's like writing him off after the bad playoff performance. Playoffs. We're not going to do that shit because next year he might be damn Josh Allen. So we don't.
Well, hell, I mean, I've think about it. I wasn't really quite a fan of Aller, and then I mean, we cut. Yeah, he did. I mean, I'll have to admit that. I'll have to admit that a little bit. He did look great in the in the playoffs there because I didn't think Penn State was that great because I know I trashed them a little bit just because like
Oh,
they were playing against Ohio State and they couldn't get they were at the freaking goal line like at the
yeah.
one and they couldn't punch it in
I'm
so
sorry. Yeah,
some trick
I'm sorry.
plays or something.
You got Nick Singleton, who's like this touted NFL running back prospect. You got the next coming of Josh Allen. You can't get the damn ball in the goal line. At the one. Like, come on now. So
Yeah.
yeah, of course we were a little skeptical, but we don't write people off here, and we talk a little trash. It happens, but we don't write anybody off here.
No, I mean, we even talk FCS, some couple of FCS guys that actually end up in the draft, and
Oh, yes. Oh, FCS indeed, Jay. In fact, the East-West Shrine Bowl was full of FCS players, in fact.
Some breaking news here. Brandon Ingram got traded to the Raptors.
We'll save him for the end. I remember him as a younger player with the Lakers, and he's kind of just I think he went to the Pelicans too. Like, he's kind of bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, there's
I
a
don't
few
know.
guys that bounced around.
Yeah. Way too many guys bounced around. Hence our segment coming up. This is typically not an NBA show, but damn it, we're gonna get to it. But I appreciate the update from Jay. But so, excuse me, I'm dealing with a cold. So if I do get on one of my rants and I happen to cough, that's why. I'm not dying. I don't have the HIV. I don't have cancer. So you guys don't need to worry about that.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus is right. So the East kicked the shit out of the West, 25-zip. And me and Jay were talking off air about this, about how the box scores for these kind of games, even the Senior Bowl, which is been around forever, and is just that's kind of the universal showing ground game, right? The box score is trying to find the statistics on these guys, especially in the East-West Shrine Bowl, is a joke. It really is. I mean, just trying to secure. Like, I just want to know. Okay, hey, did this guy have? And I know they're swapping guys in and out. It's an all-star game, but I want to know if this guy had four catches, 43 yards. If he had 66 yards rushing and a touchdown. If he had, you'll get like the main performers. Like a couple of the guys that we're going to talk about to start off with, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the running back from Arizona. His stats are well known because the guy was the damn MVP of the game. Had 97 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And then there's Efton Chisholm, the third. You got to mention the third part, Jay. Just like, remember RG3? So he's
maybe if we leave the third out,
like the wrestler. He's like the wrestler. He's EC3.
Maybe if we keep the third out, and then he won't flatline us when we actually draft him.
No, but there and there's a couple performances there. We talked a lot of off air. We were really getting jazzed up tonight about some stuff. NBA, that's coming. But we're talking college football, and just mentioning how Ja'Cory Merritt, like he was damn good at New Mexico. I think people forget how good his 2023 year was. Had over 1,300 all-purpose yards, 18 touchdowns combined.
I think he had 1,300
just about 1,300 yards, I believe.
Yeah.
But so he had a monster year at New Mexico. That's why he got the transfer to Arizona to try to step up, into the Big 12, follow them over there and see if he could, kind of jump into he was never going to be in the Ashton Genty realm, in that level guy, but maybe see if he could get on the same level as a Raheem Sanders or an RJ Harvey, kind of that second, third tier of running back, and just kind of raise his stock up. And he got hurt after one game. He actually had he had over 100 yards in his one game with Arizona. So he might have been on that trajectory, Jay, to have a 1,300 yard rushing season and maybe match his total touchdown from New Mexico this year. But got cut short with injury, and I don't know. I was very impressed with his performance.
Yeah, he put up 1,100 yards in New Mexico State. And when I was going through, it was kind of funny because when I was actually going through, like, each conference, Merritt was a guy that was at top there. I looked at him, and I'm like, "Oh, Arizona is actually not a bad place." You know, they were kind of weak. Yeah.
Jay, coming into the year after the kind of season they had in 2023 in the Pac-12, I mean, we were like, we wouldn't have been shocked if Arizona had been in the conference championship game. I mean, they were Noah Fafita had a good 2023. T-Mac was all world wide receiver. We thought they'd be back in full force, and then they just things just went to hell. But yeah, I was very impressed. I was like, he put his name back in the ring to be drafted. I think what he's maybe at best 6th round, probably 7th round pick.
Yeah, I think. I mean, right now he's not really getting drafted for the couple 4-round mock
NFL draft in the rookie draft. Maybe you could tell me about the rookie. I was just saying for the NFL draft, if he was going to be, if somebody was going to take a flyer.
Yeah, I think someone will take a flyer. I mean, I could be a day 3. I mean, a late day 3 guy. I mean, we've talked about day 3 guys before too. I mean, hell, we talked about Bub Means. We've talked about freaking
he played for the Saints this year.
Yep. And then
Devon Bailey had a big role with the Broncos. Just saying.
Yeah. And these are guys that have an opportunity, especially where they're landing too. And we mentioned that Bub, especially with Bub Means landing with the Saints, there was a great opportunity there. And then Vele slowly kind of made some progress and whatnot. So I mean, the guys we talk about these are guys that you will want to write down and actually make sure, like, well, hey, you can actually get these guys actually on the waiver wire, or especially when the season does start, if these names start, popping up, especially if you're doing a redraft too. I mean, these guys are probably guys you can probably get late at the end of probably the last round of your draft too, and just see what happens. You just don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole point of the game is to find flyers. We kind of know the established guys at this point. I think the general fan does. A lot of the bigger names. This is a big opportunity, especially. I would consider this the second tier game. No knock on the East-West Shrine Bowl, but it's kind of the second tier game. Kind of plays second fiddle to the Senior Bowl. So it was a good opportunity for a lot of, especially the smaller school guys like Efton Chisholm III, EC3 as I call him. I was also a big EC3 fan in TNA before he went to WWE. But no, Chisholm, he had a decent game too. I think he had, what did he have again? Four receptions, 43 yards. But that pales in comparison to what he had throughout the year at Eastern Washington. This guy had 120 catches, 13 touchdowns. I believe he had over 1,300 yards. So you had a monster season nobody knew about. Yeah. And Eastern Washington, you wake up, McFly. Yeah. Wake up. This.
Oh, wait! I got it.
Wow. Since when did you become the physical type?
I mean, that's what we can say about.
He's on cue with that shit. Eastern Washington. I mean, I'm sorry, Cooper Kupp went there. Cooper Kupp has been an absolute stud with the Rams since he came into the league. Just about why are we surprised? Similar skill set, very very tough, scrappy receiver. Not as tall. And not as well of a Cooper Kupp's an elite route runner and he's 6'2", so not quite Cooper Kupp in terms of size and everything, but with a slot guy, sign me up for Efton Chisholm. If he's a late round guy, especially or in dynasty leagues, if he kind of starts to rise up a little bit in some of the rookie dynasty leagues, sign me up. Yeah, because I'm telling you, there's going to be a system for this guy. There was already a guy that, Cooper Kupp already paved the way for Eastern Washington receivers. And this guy's in the same mold, kind of the same mindset, different body type, different, a little bit different skill set, but just the same mind for the game. And so Efton Chisholm III, I got, that's a kid. I'm like, sign me up. I see him there on the board. I'm snatching him up.
Sign me up. All right.
Sign, see you delivered. I'm yours.
Yeah. So there's a couple other guys here too. The Colorado Buffalo guys, Jimmy Horn and
How
Wester.
many of them are there? I mean, I think we forgot a couple, didn't we? Yeah. Will Shepard, Travis Hunter, too busy
Um,
with his girlfriend or whatever she is, fiance. She causing trouble.
Yeah, we
But
had
he
a
couldn't.
we had
But
a couple
Will
guys that were
Shepard,
actually
LaJonte Wester, Jimmy Horn. Am I missing some more? Are there like
we
7
got
Colorado receivers going to the Shrine Bowl?
Yep. Yeah, well, there's a couple other guys here. I mean, these are probably freshmen and juniors. We have Draylon Miller, who had 3 touchdowns out of we had Omarion Miller. He had 1 touchdown in there. But I mean, just to think about, I know we kind of dissed on the Colorado just a smudge a little bit. We just didn't, I wasn't really quite a fan of Surdur. I
Because
just don't
Jay,
really think he.
because Jay, he should have been putting up those numbers. If you're throwing to, I mean, how many transfers did they get? They got Will Shepard from Vanderbilt. They got
Yep.
Wester from. Did they get him from
Um,
Liberty or where'd they get
yeah,
him?
but I believe it was Liberty. Yep.
I
I
forget
believe
where
it was
Jimmy
Liberty.
Horn was from, or if Jimmy
Yeah,
Horn
I
was
don't know
already.
I can't remember where he came from. I think he came from a bigger school too. I think I know Wester was a smaller
Yep.
school guy
And then
because I was looking into Liberty and them and whatnot. And Wester, he had 1,000 some odd yards. So I mean, he was a great talent especially going over the
Yeah,
Buffalo.
that's probably why Caden Salter transferred to Colorado. He's like, if I can't beat him, I'll join him. He's like,
Right?
Liberty was a top 25 team with Wester and Caden teamed up, and then he goes away, and then Liberty falls off. But yeah, no, the Colorado receivers, they all look good. I
Yeah,
was impressed.
Webster had 10 touchdowns, so he is a guy that could probably maybe slowly rise the boards. He had 10 touchdowns, 931 yards, and then Shepard. I should have replaced Jimmy Horn with Will Shepard. I don't know why I picked Jimmy Horn there
That's
for, but
fine.
I was like,
They're
yeah,
all
but
kind of him and Jimmy Horn
yeah,
are interchangeable.
I think Will Shepard it's slightly better in that aspect because he had 6 touchdowns, 621 yards. Jimmy Horn had 1 touchdown, but Will Shepard and Jimmy Horn, they're probably vice versa. But I think these 2 guys they're probably a wide receiver 3 at latest. We thought some of these guys would be more likely wide receiver 3 in deeper fantasy leagues, more likely if they do end up getting drafted and having to rise up the roster for placing and stuff like that, especially during the spring training and stuff like that. So Webster, I think it would be a little bit more of a name that might get cited just a little bit more just because of his talent and he had double-digit touchdowns. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's not a slot guy either. He was more of an outside guy and whatnot. So I just think I really haven't looked into Webster to really make a
But
comp to him, really.
no, Wester's he's a little thicker build, I think. Will Shepard's I think he's like 6'3", 205. So,
Yeah.
Will Shepard's a bigger target, obviously. Travis Hunter is more of the like long, lanky type. So they had a little bit of everything at Colorado,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they.
Hunter was 6'1", Webster was 5'11", Shepard was 6'3", so he was the bigger guy out of them. And I think Jimmy Horn was 5'10". So I mean, Shepard might be the guy that could probably end up, like I mentioned, he might be because he saw a couple targets up in there. I can't remember what else. Let me look at my tricky hand notes here because he saw a couple targets. He had a nice contested catch and opening drive. So other than that, we really didn't see a whole lot else from him, which was, I mean, all right in my eyes. I mean, from what I saw, I mean, he might be a guy we might be looking at later on in our dynasty drafts.
No, I think Wester or Shepard, I don't mean to slight Jimmy Horn, but I think Wester or Shepard, either of those guys in Dynasty is going to have some value because they're going to be probably late day 3 guys, just flyers for teams. But we saw, like I said, we mentioned Bub Means, Devon Bailey, just 2 examples right there of guys that, and more so Devon Bailey made an impact as a rookie with the Broncos. So I mean, you get taken, if these are 6, whatever, fifth to seventh round guys, or maybe slightly undrafted. You know, there's always that potential. So
Yeah, for sure.
that'd be insane, man. Like to have the fucking whatever Travis Hunter ends up doing, if he plays corner, plays receiver, or whatever. But you know, if they could have 4 receivers drafted, you know,
Right.
possibly that'd be insane.
I think that would be a first for Colorado. I mean,
I think that'd be a first for anybody. I don't think
Yeah.
there's ever been 4 receivers drafted from the same team.
Yeah. You know, I mean, they talk about just like, you know, the breakdowns of just colleges in general for position wise, but you know, especially coming from wide receiver, that would
Yep.
probably be pretty impressive. You know, yeah. The other thing too is, you know, when we talk about Colorado, is that, you know, Caden Salter got transferred over to there, and one of our other guys we talked about, he was UCLA. I think he was kind of a freshman. He transferred to Colorado, so maybe that will spike his. You know, that will probably end up spiking his for us drafting him and whatnot. And you know, and we'll talk about more about a lot of the college stuff when we'll probably do a little breakdown on some of that stuff later on too.
Some other, you know what the hell, you know what, covered Will Shepherd. You know, he did have, you know, for a number 3 receiver, 621 yards and 6 touchdowns for a number 3 receiver. That's pretty damn good. So Will Shepherd, he was a guy that impressed me. Obviously, I mentioned Chisholm and Merritt from Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk a lot. You know what, Jay? I'll mention two of my other guys here, and you know what, we'll do. There we go. Bam. There we go. Let's switch over the graphic. I like looking at some of the team colors. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a sucker.
Who doesn't like looking at some of the colors? I mean, that's how I ended up being a Tulane fan. I mean, I'm like the Tulane colors. All of a sudden, next thing you know, eventually I'm gonna be having next stream. I'm gonna be having a Tulane hat. Next thing you know, I'll probably having a freaking hoodie of Tulane. So I mean, next thing you know, you're gonna be seeing random college teams on my head here pretty soon.
Yep, that's what he's gonna do. Speaking of random running backs, you know what? This guy's gone under the radar for way too long. You know, there's been a lot of other guys that have hit the last couple of years. I get it. You know, in 2023 it was Bucky. You know, backs like him. The kid from Texas and the Panthers took, Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, John. We all seen that was. I mean, we had high hopes.
Trey Benson with the Cardinals. Like they're, you know, last year's draft had quite a bit. Jay, this year, excuse me, Ashton Genty, some other, you know, RJ Harvey's had some other, you know, big time running backs that had monster seasons. Caleb Johnson from Iowa, but you know what? Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, 2 back-to-back 1,500 yard seasons, very impressive. You know, he's probably in a handful. He's probably in a list of a handful of guys that have done that recently. So that needs to be noted. Yeah, over 1,500 yards rushing this year, 17 touchdowns, and then you throw in, you know, almost 200 yards receiving and another receiving touchdown. So 18 total touchdowns, over 1,700 to all-purpose yards. So Taj Brooks, I think he's going to be a early day 3 guy, but you know, he's somebody to look at. From what I saw, some of the highlights I saw on YouTube and X, you know, some of the highlights of the practices, he was looking pretty damn good. I know in the game he didn't do a ton, but it's an all-star game. I don't hold that against people. I mean, there are guys that are going to pop. You know, Seth Hennigan from Memphis, we're going to talk about in the Senior Bowl game, and he had probably the best statistics. That doesn't mean he's going to be even drafted. So, you know, so that doesn't always mean anything with the statistics. But
I think
from what I saw, what I read, Taj Brooks from Texas Tech really showed out really well, and he's going to be a drafted guy. He's going to be a late round pick that, you know, maybe a team takes a flyer on and might have some dynasty value. Yeah. And then, you know what, Jay, I'll give my last guy here, Towson tight end Carter Runyon. Not Funyun. You know, Funyuns were good chips back in the day. I don't even know if they sell those anymore. But Carter Runyon.
I am McLovin.
I am McLovin. You damn right. He's had back-to-back 500-yard tight end receiving seasons, which doesn't sound like a lot, especially when you're comparing him next to Tyler Warren and Harold Fannin Jr. A lot of these big-time tight ends that have been hitting. I get it, but he was the first team FCS tight end. So he was basically the top tight end in FCS, which is nothing to sniff at. Damn good season. Coming off, had five touchdowns. He does a little bit of everything. He's a big guy, 6'6", does a little bit of everything. He blocks, he can catch, he's athletic. Because he plays at Towson, he's not going to get a lot of love, but maybe he works his way in. Maybe he has a good combine. Maybe he's a late 7th round pick or something. So I noticed him, and I wanted to give him a little shout out from the performance, and then just practices throughout the week and what I was reading about.
Yeah, I think Taj Brooks, he's kind of in the mix of like the Martinez, like Damian Martinez's, the
Jarquez Hunter.
Yeah, yep. Maybe Aquavius Marks too from UCS.
Yeah, Woody Marks from USC. Yep.
Probably Brashard Smith too from MSU too. So kind of those guys. Yeah, maybe Boot.
Yeah, I could see
you
that.
You could probably tie him in there a little with Booten too. I mean, they're all pretty well.
Day 3 guys. Yeah, all day 3 guys. Yep.
Yeah, I think Sampson is a little bit better than some of the like Harvey and Sampson are a little bit better.
Yeah, Dylan Sampson is fucking beast.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that'll be rising draft boards. But just all in general, I think I mean, there's a couple other guys I like. The Lee Quint Allen from Syracuse. He's a kind of a guy. He's kind of that mix of Ja'Cory Merritt. And those two guys are pretty similar in running style and whatnot. I mean, I like Allen a little bit. I've had some shares with him a little bit too. So, I mean, as far as the running backs here, I mean, we talked about Trey Stewart, from Jacksonville State. I mean, this kid,
guy.
He actually had some nice runs in the Shrine Bowl here. We talked about, I'm trying to remember right. He actually had a nice run in the pretty much the last fourth quarter. He actually kind of got his hands. He had a nice little run there under the 2-minute drill, which looked pretty good in my eyes. He could be a sleeper that kind of rises too a little bit. If I remember here, he actually rushed for 1,633 yards and 25 some odd touchdowns. I remember we talked about Tyler Huff, a guy to pick up because I think he was a rusher too. On top of it, he had his nice. So I mean, they look pretty damn
good. I think people forget like Jacksonville State started 0-3, and I think they ripped off like 8 in a row, and then finally lost their last game or whatever, 8-4. But I think Rich Rodriguez was their coach. Everybody remembers Rich Rod from the Michigan, West Virginia days and shit.
Yeah, they actually made a bowl. They lost the last four games.
Yeah, things just kind of went downhill, but I mean, they ripped off 8 in a row. Tyler Huff and Trey Stewart just went gangbusters. I mean, I was a big fan. I like their little logo they had. Jack State, they were an FCS team up until a couple years ago. So I kind of like the story. And people think they're in Jacksonville, Florida. They're actually in Jacksonville, Alabama. So I mean,
that's what I thought too. And I'm like, what?
Yep.
Like there's way too many Jacksonvilles, and I'm like, what the hell here?
No shit.
The other guy I kind of wanted to mention too was Isaiah Nair. Not he wasn't really from Nebraska. Yeah, he played a little bit. I mean, he wasn't really a stout. I mean, he was their number 2 guy. I think he had the most touchdowns out of all the guys. 455 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was kind of their go-to guy there. I mean, I had a couple shares of him too during the season. I ended up dropping him. He didn't really he's 6'4", 220 some odd pounds. I just think he didn't get, I just don't think he had enough. Like if he went to a bigger school that, a team that was more airworthy, I think this guy would have been a little bit more on the radar a little bit. But I mean,
like an Ole Miss. He worked with Jackson Dart, maybe Cam Ward in Miami. Yeah, he was probably at the wrong school.
Yeah, and
Dylan Raiola totally shit the bed.
Yeah, I think he screwed us. He screwed us big time. Yeah. Hopefully, I've been kind of watching them too a little bit. I think they replenished their wide receiver core. So hopefully, hopefully we won't see another fluke here. Hopefully, anyways. But time will tell, anyways. The other guy I want to mention too is Blaine Taylor. He's 6'5", 215 pounds. He played at the FCS level. It's crazy enough for us to say that, they played Texas Tech right off the bat, week 1. They lost 51-52, but this guy put up 7 receptions for 141 and 1 touchdown. I mean, that's some monster yards right there. Like, especially against Texas Tech, and that's the school where freaking, Patrick Mahomes came from, and they're pretty stout, especially they had, Brooks there too on top of it, and he's
a good running game.
Yep. So, I mean, this was the guy I was hoping. I'm like, "Oh, who's this?" Because he was actually a late add-on, but just because a couple other guys, Chisholm was a late add-on, and Taylor was a late add-on. So there was 2 guys that were late add-ons, and they actually, Chisholm actually showed out a little bit more too, in that slot role. So I was like, "Who's this guy?" So I was I was watching, I was like looking up this guy, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, is this the guy who actually came? He was, so I'm like, Cooper Kupp, and I'm like, oh, so who knows? Maybe, hey, since Cooper Kupp is out, maybe we can get a new younger version of Cooper Kupp from Chisholm.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Come hither, come hither.
Yeah. Blaine Taylor is kind of I haven't really looked too much into him, but I mean, it's a name to probably think about and just kind of keep it in the back of your mind. He didn't really see a whole lot during the game, and he saw a couple catches. He had 1 catch, but he kind of lost the ball. So I was like, oh damn. So I was hoping for a little bit more high hopes for a couple of these guys that were just quickly add-ons in the game and whatnot, but it kind of didn't really pan out too much for him. But I mean, who's not gonna like a guy who's 6'5"? I mean, that's something to take a look at right there. Yeah, big target. I didn't really look at it. I didn't get a chance to check out his, any of his highlights yet, but I'm sure I kind of looked at his stats. He had 1 good game, and all of them were kind of kind of the 80, 70-ish. I didn't see another standout besides just the 1 game there, but I could be wrong too.
Fairweather, I think we mentioned him on the waiver show we used to do.
Yeah, I think we did. I think I probably brought him up, or you did. I can't remember exactly, but I know one of us brought him up during one of our shows. I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I want to see. Yeah, it was him and Gavin Bartholomew from Pitt. I think we're like the two kind of 2 under the radar tight ends that were always in the waiver mix, like for guys to pick up. So I'm glad to see Fairweather had a good Shrine Bowl game, and because we talked so much about his teammate Jarquez Hunter. When you think of Auburn this year, you thought of Jarquez Hunter. So I mean, it's good to see Fairweather. Had a good performance, had a good week there, and yeah, Gavin Bartholomew, same thing. I think Jay had a few notes on him as well, but he was the tight end Pitt that we mentioned.
Yeah, he had a few catches. I mean, he was involved there a little bit too, just because they had Desmond Reed there, who was their go-to guy.
Until the wheels fell off, dude. They started 7. They started 7-0. I think they ended 7-6. I think they lost their bowl game, and
I can look here. Yeah, they won some, and then they lost their last like 5 games in a row. They had a hot streak, and then they totally just
shit the bed.
They shit the bed. I mean, we talked about Reed because he was a guy that was a dual threat kind of receiver or running back out
for a while.
Yeah, he could do it in both because I mean, this guy was small, legit. He was quick on his feet and whatnot.
And then was it Kyle McCord? Or was Kyle McCord the team that he threw 5 picks against? Was Pitt the team?
Kyle McCord. Yeah, that's the team that he threw.
They picked off an NFL quarterback 5 times, and this fucking team drops 6 games in a row to end their year.
Yeah. Bartholomew was their 5th best receiver. He had 4 touchdowns, 322 yards. For a tight end there, and for the pretty much not bad. I mean, when we think about tight ends, most typical tight ends, they're we're looking at 400 to 6 at top. We're not going to see one guy that's going to have 1,000 some odd yards in a season.
Oh wait, we did. Harold. His name is Harold Fannin Jr.
Yeah, I was
freaking
gonna
A.
look that up. I was gonna look that up. So they beat Syracuse 41-13.
Yeah, they whooped that ass.
I can't. I actually had McCord going in I think a prop or something like that, and
I
I
remember
just
that.
lost out. Yeah, I was pissed off. I was like, "What? No way!" I was furious. I was furious. But yeah, Kyle McCord was the entrance in this Shrine Bowl game. He did not play, which I wanted to see him play. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
He
So
would have
I was
tore.
kind of.
He would have tore these guys up,
I think, if he
carved them
did
up.
end up playing, it depends on which guys that were in there. Chisholm, Taylor probably would have probably seen some more, reps in there. Maybe, it would have been possible. Would have been possible. But Chisholm, just even though he coming in, just just a day. I mean, he played pretty well for, he had a couple of catches. He had a couple of catches and whatnot. So it's not bad, not bad at all. Is there anything else you want to mention about the
No,
Shrine
I got my
Bowl?
2 cents in about how the box scores. They need to do a better job with the box scores, so stats are more easily accessible to the public. I feel. I feel like
Yeah.
Jay. I feel like this is like 1940, and you got to like sit there.
Right?
What do they call for the last play there, Sonny? Like fucking. We got to. You shouldn't have to sit there and take notes in a notepad about this guy had 1 rush, 9 attempt, 2 attempts, 11-yard rushing, or it's dumb. Like and Senior Bowl isn't much better, but they gotta get the statistics better. I know it's an all-star game, but the all-star game for the big leagues, for the MLB and for NBA, even the Pro Bowl, they always have the statistics listed. You can't just take away statistics because it's an all-star game.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
that'd
sure.
be my one gripe. My one gripe, but I'm glad East West Shrine. I feel is more of a smaller school game. They give a lot more shine to the FCS guys. So I appreciate. I have a ton of appreciation for the East West Shrine game. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll put since we're about the Shrine Bowl, I'll put a little thing up there for like Kyle McCord, spotlight up there in the corner up here since we're talking about the Shrine Bowl. And I think he was the only other one that was actually in the Shrine Bowl that we already covered.
And what about Shiloh Sanders, guys? We usually just keep it skill position guys. And come on, Shiloh Sanders, is he really going to be as good? He won't even be as good as his brother Shador. Like, he ain't going to be no damn Dion on defense to stop.
Yeah, he had a couple. He had a couple good plays. Yeah, he had a couple good plays in there, but I mean,
it's not. Yeah, let's pump the brakes here on he's going to be next Dion. Cowboys should draft him. And
I'm like, hell
no. All right, Jay. You know what it's time for? Yeah, 2 thumbs down. It's time for some Senior Bowl, baby. Reese's Cup, the big cup, maybe some Reese's Pieces.
I don't like Reese's Pieces, but I do love the cup.
Am I missing any? What else they have? The big Reese's, the king size Reese's. Like what else? What else am I missing here?
Yeah, you got the. I'm not sure. You got the Reese's with the little chips in there, and then I'm not sure.
Yep.
Oh, you got the caramel big cups now too. You got the caramel.
Caramel big cups. They got the or the Take 5. Wasn't it Take 5?
I've had it. Yeah. Those are actually pretty good. I've had my fair shares of Take 5s, and then we have fast. I think they have the fast breaks or whatever they call them.
Yeah, Reese's. Oh, Reese's fast breaks, bro. Back in the day, those were fucking fire.
Dude, I pick them up every once in a while. But so when I see the Reese's bowl, I actually start feeding peanut butter.
You're feeding. You're like, we need to make a trip to the grocery store here. We get some fucking candy.
Right. Well, too bad they're closed now, so we can't go get no Reese's.
Yep. Too bad. American team 22, national team 19. Not that it makes any bit of difference. I mean, they're all kind of, these are all-star game. We don't. That's another thing too. They're not really big on keeping score. It's just kind of pathetic. I don't know. Like how the box score is hard. It's hard to find statistics on guys. They don't really bring up the final score. That matters too. I mean, these guys want to win the game, but
of course. I mean, that's why they're competing in it. That's why they're competing.
They're competing in it, exactly. And don't tell that to Jack Besh. Jack Besh got the game. And he's had some other names. I mean, it will be nice tonight because I feel horrible. He lost his brother in the New Orleans situation not too long ago. So, I feel for the guy and his family. Thoughts go out to them. But he played through some adversity. Kicked ass. I think he had 6 grabs for 68 yards in the game-winning touchdown. So Jack Besh would definitely be a riser to me. I'll switch this over here and I'll bring back this other graphic. But yeah, Jack Besh, I had a number 1. How could you not? I think he raised his stock. He should be, a late second round pick in the NFL, and we'll see where he goes in rookie dynasty drafts. And maybe Jay could help us with that. But I was super impressed with Jack Besh, and we're skeptical on a lot of TCU receivers, but I think he might.
We were. I mean, just because of Quentin Johnson and all the first round TCU guys end up not really panning out to what we really wanted, and just flaming out right quite quickly, and that's why I'm hoping maybe Jack Beck is not a first rounder kind of guy. Hopefully, maybe a day 2 guy, because that probably more in his territory. But I mean, to think about it, the guys on this list here, they're all pretty much 1,000-yard receivers besides 2 guys. Pat Bryant and Jaquan Felton are 2 guys that are not 1,000-yard receivers.
Daquan Felton or Daquan
Yeah.
Felton? Well, maybe we should call up Ty. Ty's our guy. So we'll call up Ty. Brother's name.
Yeah, right. For sure. The cool thing about it is that both Ty and Daquan, they're both brothers. I didn't know anything, and I'm like, I'm like, Felton. I'm like, that almost. I'm like, so I had to do some digging on this, and he is the brother of Ty Felton, but he just went to a different program. I don't know if he was a senior. I think he is a little bit younger. He might have been a junior trying to come out, and the downfall about that, he didn't really see. He only had like 300 some odd yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, so really not a whole lot of production from this guy. But Ty, on the other hand, I mean, we could talk a lot more about him because we talked about him very early in the season. He was like our second week, like a waiver wire ad, like right off the bat. I mean, he ended up with 9 touchdowns on the season. 1,100. Pretty much 1,100. 1,100-yard receiver.
Yeah, the Felton brothers definitely showed out. Ty, we've been talking up for a while. We did a spotlight on him. Pat Bryant.
I'll put that up in the corner too as well.
Yep. If you want to go watch our whole 30-minute take on Ty Felton, give him a lot of loving, give him a lot of cushion and pushing. You can go and check out our love fest, love fest for him, our spotlight. Check that out. Give us some love on that, some views. Pat Bryant. Yeah, Pat. He made a lot of the big plays of the year for Illinois. I mean, that Luke Altmaier was the quarterback, but he kind of made him too. Like Pat Bryant had a big reason that they go 10.
Let's not have a Tank Dell repeat, shall we?
Were there injuries? What? Oh
no, I'm talking about Tank Dell. Tank Dell made He
sure did. He sure as hell did. I've been calling that for a while. I'm like, Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune has no business in the NFL. You know how he got drafted from the Houston Cougars? Was because Tank Dell was his damn receiver. I think we had a similar situation with Illinois. Like Luke Altmaier, didn't come out or anything in the NFL draft, but still, like, he has a lot of, he should be sending Christmas cards every year to Pat Bryant. Be like, thank you for being great. Thank you for catching 10 touchdowns. I should have got you more. I'm not good enough as a quarterback to get you those numbers, but you should have had 14 touchdowns and 1,100 yards is what you should have had. Because, I mean, Pat's got prototypical NFL level receiver size. Great with contested 50-50 balls. I could go on and on and on. We'll probably end up doing a spotlight on this guy at some point, or Jay will. So I'll hold off on my love affair for Pat Bryant, but still.
I mean, I love me some Pat Bryant. I mean, you know, it's funny because, you know, I dropped Cam Rising early in September, picked up
Smart
Bryant
move.
early. Yeah,
Smart
yeah,
move.
early. And then, you know, Pat Bryant kind of had his days. He wasn't really, you know, putting up the production like where a lot of us as fantasy guys like to say, you know, we needed the production, you know, for our team wise. So I
Yep.
ended up dropping, you know, Pat Bryant for Jordan Tyson, you know, the Sun Devils. And he was pretty much a freshman, and you know he's the guy that we'll probably be chasing next year now. But you know,
And he
just
gets
for
hurt.
example, yeah. So just for example, I mean, Pat Bryant was the only guy down there in Illinois that was their true number one wide receiver down there. And now for me, seeing what Pat Bryant is, you know, he's a fairly tall guy. I mean, Pat Bryant was 32nd, 36th in fantasy points total, which I mean for the guys on this list is not that bad. Um, I think Pat Bryant, if he falls into the right offense, he'll be a wide receiver too, kind of. And I, you know, I think he'll be more kind of a Higgins, you know, kind of that figure. He can be maybe a wide receiver one, but more likely he's a better at that as a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a bunch of wide receiver 2 and 3s here on this list here. There's nothing wrong with
Hmm.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
how many catches, Jay? How many catches did Diami Brown make from the Commanders in this postseason against the Lions, even against the Bucks, Lions, Eagles? I mean, Diami Brown, is feasting. And he's
Yeah.
what was a number 4 receiver for Washington. So he's a guy from UNC that you used to like. They're yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally like Jalen Noel more than I like Jalen Higgins, but um, you know,
Um, y
I think Bryant, Noel, Felton, there's a nice mix of guys there, and
yeah,
then
yeah, for sure.
you have Higgins above, and then the other brother Felton's probably the fifth guy on of those
Yeah.
five. Higgins is
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
the fourth.
for slot guys here, which I mean, I think is a pretty good go here. I mean, we got 2 slot guys here that, we have Pritchett, and then we have Noel as far as, like, when it comes to, like, slot guys. I mean,
Oh,
for the
yeah,
top.
Jamal Pritchett from South Alabama, Gio Lopez down there, and
Yeah.
I think they ended up like 6-6 or something. But I mean,
Yeah,
they
I
they
mean,
they have really good. South Alabama had really good offense for a lot of the year.
yeah, I mean, Pritchett was actually
Oh,
number
Pritchett,
6. Yep, he was number 6 overall in fantasy points, you know, 1,100 some odd yards, 9 touchdowns. You know, Noel, I mean, 13th in fantasy points, you know, 1,100 yards too, but 8 touchdowns in there. I mean, just to think, you know, just to think about the slot guys that are coming out. We got Tez, Rizeppo, and then we have Noel, we have Lovett from Georgia. You know, Jimmy Horn's kind of in that mix. And we got Prickett, and then the last guy, couple guys is, you know, Mario Williams, which is a Tulane guy. I mean, I had a couple of shares of him. He had a couple of nice hits, and then we got Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech too as well. So I mean as far as slot guys, there's not too many of them. So I mean, for slot guys that might get drafted, they're more like Pritchett will more likely be drafted. You know, Noel, so Rizeppo for sure, and Tez Johnson, you know, so those are kind of some of the top guys when we're talking about slot guys in here. I honestly thought, you know, we have both Higgins and Noel as, you know, 1,000-yard receivers was for me, which kind of a shock to come from, you know, smaller. I wouldn't say smaller school, you know, Iowa State, you know, really not known for a whole lot. There's more ground and pound. And they got a nice running back there, but they had a nice offense. They had a nice offense this year, which I was happy about. I mean,
kind of shit the bed at the end though, and kind of fucked up their chances to make the playoffs. But
yeah, yeah,
playoffs, was it
yeah, for sure.
Rocco? Was it Rocco Becht was their quarterback?
Yeah,
But
yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
he. I think with a better quarterback, they could have made like maybe the second round of the playoff. Like
I
they
don't know.
really.
I kind of like that. I kind of like him. I mean, I think he's gonna have some nice. He's gonna have some nice wide receivers coming for transfers, and
Not like
I
this.
think.
You have two NFL. I mean, Higgins you can debate about, Jay, but I mean Higgins and Noel are 2 NFL level receivers. I mean, what are the chances that his next 2 guys, his top 2 guys coming in, are going to be, anywhere near these 2?
Yeah, I mean, one of them. I mean, one of them it will be. He's an ECU guy. Chase Sowell. He's
Yeah, I remember
transferred
him. Yeah, I
over.
like him.
Yeah, yep, I like him. We kind of like we mentioned him a little bit at the end of our waiver wires toward the end of the season. He kind of had a nice little stretch going on with some touchdowns and stuff like that. And I think this is going to be an added bonus for him going to Iowa State, just because of the Beck is staying there. He's not transferring out, so I think this is going to be a good cause for him. So their running back is staying there too. So I kind of like the running back there too as well. So I think Iowa State is actually going to have some nice plethora going forward here. But to get back, so we kind of got off track. But I mean, we talked about Pat Bryant. I liked him. He had some nice catches in there. He had a nice 30-yard catch, and then he actually had a catch from one of the tight ends. But I mean, just overall in general, I like Pat Bryant. Higgins, I'm not sure about, because those are 2 guys I kind of want to dig into, both Higgins and Noel. I think
Higgins a big target, but I mean, if Pat Bryant's not much smaller than Higgins, and I think he's a better big target. So
yeah,
I had to pick between the 2 for like bigger targets, 6'3", 6'4" guys. I'm going to take Pat Bryant. Absolutely. Did you have anything else on the wide receivers before we get into the 2 running backs at the bottom?
No, I don't think so. We talked about Beck. We talked about
Jackson Dart. Have we talked?
Nope, not yet. But yeah, other than that, we just talked about some of the wide receivers. Other than that, I was going to take a look here. I was going to see how tall Beck was, or not Beck, but I was going to see how big Higgins was. I can't remember how tall he was.
I thought he was 6'4" from what I was reading.
Yeah, I was gonna try to see if I could find that quick while we were talking. But yeah, if you want to jump in, we can. We can get into the 2 running backs, or you can talk about the running back or the quarterbacks. Quarterback.
Yeah, they kind of, it's like a revolving door of backs, if you will. You know what? I'll just pull up. I'll pull up my little graphic here. There we go. Bam. So I didn't have Ollie Gordon in there. Didn't have RJ Harvey. But you know what? For my rise, I already talked about Jack Beck, or Bish, whatever the hell we've called him. I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry, dude.
Higgins is 6'4", and then Pat Bryant 6'2".
Yeah. Still considered a bigger target. So
yeah,
Pat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Pat. 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. Trevor Etienne. Talk about running backs here. I'll put Trevor Etienne in the mix. Had a good week of practice. A lot of these guys didn't do a whole ton, because it's an all-star game. They're not getting the necessary carries and targets to really make an impact. A lot of these level guys that we knew the last couple of years, Devin Neal from Kansas and Trevor Etienne from Georgia. Ollie and RJ had a little bigger impact on the game. But Ollie, kind of the same deal. So a lot of these running backs didn't necessarily, they weren't going to go for like 19 carries, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns or anything. It's not going to happen. But I was impressed by Trevor Etienne, and we know his pedigree based on his brother. Travis has had a decent career with the Jags in the NFL. So, and we remember him being a stud national championship level running back at Clemson. So. The pedigree is there for Trevor Etienne, and then switch it over to Jay's list there. Ollie, he's back. You damn right he's back. Don't discard him. Don't throw Ollie out with the trash like I'm about to do. Don't do that. Don't do that. Not quite yet. No. Ollie, Jesus. Ollie's back in the mix, and I think some team's going to get a steal. It's all. When it comes to these, it comes to like all-star games. It's like the week of practice. Like, how do they look against other, especially receivers? You can now, with like everybody on social media, you could see a receiver beating a DB oh, this guy, he's beat him 5 times in a row, and oh, this running back's got a nice burst, and he's running through tackles and in practice and stuff. So I mean, we can kind of see some of the stuff that we couldn't have seen 10, 20 years ago or anything. So just based on that, I think Ollie showed up, represented himself well, conducted himself like a pro. So and RJ had a monster fantasy year. He doesn't have anything to apologize for. Ollie kind of shit the bed, in terms of his season. RJ didn't. RJ was a top 5 fantasy running back, so nothing to apologize there for.
Yeah, I think a lot of us written off, a lot of us written off Ollie Gordon just because of his down season, and
Yeah.
I was
It was a down.
kind
It
of
was a bad year.
I was watching a mock draft here, and some guy actually took Ollie Gordon in the first round, and the content creators were like, hey, what do you got? They made a like was there any
What will you bring?
values in the first? Yeah, in the they were pretty much. I'm not bashing them or anything like that. They just wanted to get their. I put in my overall thoughts on Ollie Gordon. I pretty much just said, yeah, Ollie Gordon is a great talent. No, I mean the only reason why a lot of people are down on him was because he didn't have his repeat season, which a lot of that I thought came from the Cowboys, not their offensive line kind of shitty and whatnot. So they couldn't reproduce what they did last year, which is why Gordon had his down season, and that's why a lot of people are writing him off. And I'm like, he has good bursts when he wants to, but then I just if he doesn't have that open line, he's going to struggle. He's kind of like a Derrick Henry. If you don't get him going right away, he's not going to get. It's going to take him a while to get involved.
You got to prime him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Me and Jamie used to buff floors. Like you got to prime up that buffer so it warms up so you can get a nice slick result with the buffer pad. Yeah, like LA Knights. I'd like to buff her pad. If you catch my drift.
Oh my God! So, but I mean that's the thing about. I think that's the thing about Ollie Gordon. Just don't. Him maybe being a first rounder might be slightly questionable. If you can get him in a second round, that's going to be more value for you. But it's all going to come down to what are people's thoughts on Ollie Gordon, and that's going to be the key too. Is how many people are going to be in Ollie Gordon? Ollie Gordon in general. He's actually up there. He's like the top 10 guys with Genty and Mario Hampton and Caleb Williams or Caleb Johnson and those guys. So he's up there with those guys, but it just depends on where he's going to be landing. And if he does land in the second round in your rookie drafts, hey, that's gonna be more value for you in the long run.
Yeah, I think some NFL team is going to get a hell of a bargain with Ollie, drafting him probably late day 2. Maybe mid third round, late third round.
Yep.
And then I think a dynasty owner. There might be somebody impulsive that jumps the gun, like the one gentleman Jamie was mentioning, maybe first round, but dynasty. I think Ollie's worth it. If worst comes to worst, you cut him. No harm, no foul. He's not going to be a first round pick, probably not even a second round pick. And same thing with the dynasty draft. Like he's, unless somebody goes crazy, he's not going to be a first round pick. Like maybe second at earliest. Like so, you're not investing a bunch of capital into Ollie Gordon. He's worth kicking the tires on. We all saw that 2023 couldn't stop the guy. He could do everything.
Like I would probably take Ollie Gordon over Trey Henderson, and I'm going to get some.
Absolutely, yep.
I would take Ollie over him.
Take him over Jarquez Hunter. I'd take him over Judkins. I'd take him any of those guys. I think he's right on par with RJ. A lot of
RJ Harvey.
Yeah. I think Caleb Johnson is a little bit better. Like there's Ashton, there's Caleb, and then there's like the next tier running backs. I think Ollie could fall into that third tier running back. Absolutely. RJ Harvey, him. Maybe Devin Neal if he raises his stock enough from Kansas.
Yeah, I know we talked about Devin Neal a little bit, but I would have to go back and.
He was a really good back.
Yeah,
for a couple of years there.
The guys I probably would be out on is like Caleb Mullins and the Michigan guys. I'm really not a fan of.
No, their system got. Even things could change in a year. But even Blake Corum kind of had an underwhelming rookie season. I know he was playing behind Kyron Williams, but those Michigan guys don't tend to, going back a ways too, Mike Hart. Who else am I thinking of? Cedric Benson. Like, they don't necessarily become the best NFL backs. So I'll pass on Mullings and Edwards and those kind of level guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess I would take a chances on like Ja'Cory Moret. You know, I might take some chances on maybe him if his stock rises. Booten would be a guy I would want to look into too as well. I mean, he might be a guy to kind of raise his stock before the combine happens.
He carried Virginia Tech all year, but apparently they had Felton. They had another Felton too. So I mean, I guess they had two weapons, but
yeah, unfortunately, I was gonna look that up because he didn't. I mean, I think he might have been a junior. I don't remember offhand, but it's just one of those ordeals where it's just like, hey, he's got his brother's name. Especially when it come in for Virginia Tech. I mean, it's like you would expect some kind of offense from this team.
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, that's the same school with Michael Vick, and back in the who else they have? Kevin Smith, I think, was a running back for them forever.
Yeah. Yeah, they were 6 and 7 on the season, which I mean you can kind of tell. I mean, it wasn't really a whole. I mean, they had Booten, but I mean, he was their main rusher. Felton was actually their fourth wide receiver in here, but the other guy would probably Jalen Lane, who was actually in one of these. He actually, I think he got a reception in one of these games or the Senior Bowl here. I mean, he had only 2 touchdowns, 466 yards. I mean, Felton wasn't too, he had 2 touchdowns, 360 yards. I mean, so the reception wise, pretty dang close. But I mean, not Virginia Tech's not really a eye opener either. So
no. Quarterbacks, want to touch on?
Yeah, we can touch on some quarterbacks. You can hit up on your guys.
Beautiful. We got 3 there, and if Jay has any additional ones, like LA Knight says, I keep picturing LA Knight just stomping away at Logan Paul, just stomping him in the corner, and then the bastard throws him over the top rope. What a piece of trash.
Right?
That's what I think of Logan Paul right here. Get him out of here. We got Jackson Dart. Jay has him listed up there as a riser. We can probably tag team that. Dart looked good. Had a few nice passes there. Doesn't surprise me. Bowl game he had over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just kind of sliced up the. I forget what team they were playing, but I remember he was just fucking up and down the field like a damn gangster. Who'd they play in that bowl game? Ole Miss.
I'm not sure
exactly. I remember he had a monster game though. This would have been like a month ago, a little over a month ago. But
it means you're gonna have to make me go back and take a look and check all the freaking bowl games
we slip up. It's fine. There's a lot of shit. Come on our stream. There's a lot of shit to remember. Jackson Dart. You know what? I'm thinking second round pick. Like draft wise. Rookie Dynasty draft. Where does he fall in, Jay? I think he's probably a middle second round pick in the NFL. Let's say something like a mediocre team that could use a quarterback, who is like.
I think Dart probably a second rounder,
like the Saints, like the Saints. I could see the Saints. I could see the Saints taking a guy in the middle of the second round, with a Kellen Moore as being their new coach, most likely. I could see them taking a Jackson Dart. He played at Ole Miss in Mississippi. It kind of makes sense. He's almost a local guy at that point. But what about Dynasty? Where would a guy like Jackson Dart fall in?
I'm trying to remember on that stream. If I remember, he was either a second or a third rounder in one of those. Because what they were doing, they were just kind of taking a mock draft. They were kind of looking at a mock draft, and they were just kind of placing them kind of in where their talking points was where the mock draft was, and for a guy like Dart, and I believe it was either second or third round if I remember correctly. It was like a day or two ago, but I mean there were certain people. I mean Pat Bryant was a guy that was actually a second rounder for sure that I remember commenting on. And I think RJ Harvey was the third rounder if I remember correctly too, because Noel and Pat Bryant went in the second round. Higgins was ended up landing in the third round in a rookie mock draft, and then I think Harvey was in there somewhere as well. But for Dart, I mean for the quarterbacks that are coming out, I mean you got for sure Cameron Ward, Shedeur, Milroe will be coming out. So I mean that Dart might have been either the I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure it was either second rounder for sure.
Yeah, in that mix somewhere where Milroe gets taken, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And those I mean, I didn't see Will Howard come off. I didn't see Leonard come off.
No, fuck no. Will Howard, yeah, I don't care if he won a national championship. I'm staying as far away from that.
Yeah,
I believe say whatever you want about him, but you take Chip Kelly away, and you take a lot of those weapons away, and the best
I believe
line, everything else. Like you'll see how well Will Howard does. If he was a backup with the Titans or something, like it's gonna get ugly.
Yeah, I believe Gabriel came off the board too as well, because I mean I didn't see Ewers come off the board or anything like that. So I mean, when we honestly think about a lot of these quarterbacks coming out, I mean, we got Ward, Sanders, Milroe, Dart, Gabriel are the top 5 guys actually coming off the board, and then it's going to get into your. I think didn't Ewers go back? He went to some other team, or no? That was Beck. Sorry, yeah, I think Ewers.
Yeah. Carson Beck went to Miami.
Yep. Yeah. So and then we got our Ewers, Will Howard. We can probably say the Leonards, McCords, and probably the Seth Hennigans of the world, kind of in there too as well, because the other guys like Brady Cook, not a fan of. Max Brosmer, not a fan of from Minnesota. He had a couple good passes, but I mean I
don't even know how Brosmer was invited to the Senior Bowl, to be honest.
I mean, well, he was actually it was actually the Shrine Bowl, sorry, but yeah, I mean, just he had a couple good plays, but other than that, I mean, the Cam Miller got from North Dakota State, he was a Shriner, but I mean, just a couple of those guys, so these are going to be kind of like the second tier guys that we'll be looking at, and we're like, out of those guys, I'm going to place my bet on McCord and those kind of the second tier guys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard, he impressed me. I think he completed like his first 6 passes. I think that's the one thing he had to show is that he can be a competent passer. Nobody questions his athleticism. Nobody questions his brain. He's a Duke, Notre Dame guy. So everybody knows he's got it upstairs. Good. Nothing off the field with the guy. Stand up character from everything I've seen and heard. So there are no other questions about him except can he be an accurate passer? And I think he kind of silenced a few doubters there, enough to the point where I'd feel comfortable taking him in the 4th round. Like if Riley Leonard, like in NFL, I mean, Dynasty is different. But like if I was a NFL team in the 4th round, I'd feel comfortable taking Riley Leonard, even if it's as my backup. That's fine with me. I think he's got a lot of character traits to be a good backup in the NFL. And backups start too. Look at Aiden O'Connell, 4th round pick out of Purdue. How many games did you have to depend on Aiden O'Connell this year for fantasy, Jay?
Yeah. It's
too many, right?
Yeah.
So these backups are, they have, they get paid too. They got fantasy value too. So make sure you don't just discount these guys, because eventually, Kenny Pickett's going to have to start for the Eagles at some point. Go down the list. Carson Wentz started for the Chiefs. Like you got to have one of these guys. So
I I was going to look
Okay.
up to see here where Leonard actually ended up in fantasy wise, but you can keep talking your points.
He had a damn with the rushing touchdowns. I think he was top 15 with everything considered.
Fourth overall in quarterback. So he actually put up.
He what? Damn, he had
fourth.
a fucking monster year.
Yeah. So we had Mateer. We had Mateer, Bryson Daly, Cameron Ward, and Leonard was fourth overall, and then we had Dampier, Klubnik, Huff that we mentioned here, and then unfortunately we had Will Howard, and Jalen Milroe kind of in that almost 8-9 tier, and then Dart finished off right at 10, and McCord right after Dart at 11th.
You have the two. Yeah, you have the two more traditional gunslinger, pocket passers, and McCord and Dart there, 10, 11, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I'll mention one last guy because he had a good Senior Bowl, and it's worth discussing. I don't think this helps his draft stock. I don't think Seth Hennigan is going to be a starter or anything. I don't even think a backup. I mean, he could be a practice squad guy, or if a team carries a third quarterback. Like I could see, 5 years from now, I could see Seth Hennigan being somebody's third quarterback. Like, he's on a roster at least. But yeah, he had a very good performance through the game-winning touchdown to Jack Besh. So 132 yards, 1 touchdown, 12 of 14. So he was accurate enough. So I think he showed enough that, hey, if given the chance, I can make an NFL roster. So I thought
at least we could say that Hennigan was better than Beck in fantasy, just by 1 point.
Right. Yeah. Carson Beck. And Hennigan's got to be thinking, shit, maybe I should have gone back to school. Like, fuck, I outperformed Carson Beck, and this guy gets $10 million in NIL money a year. Like, Carson Beck is he's stealing money from people. That's what he's doing. It's smart. Because he would have been Carson Beck would have been probably where Jackson Dart's gonna, or lower than that. He'd probably be behind Milroe and Dart, you'd think, right? If Carson Beck had come out in this draft, he'd probably be the 5th or 6th quarterback taken, right?
Yeah. The downfall is Hennigan didn't redshirt, so that's the downfall with that. That's
and
it's just downfall there. Yeah,
it's hypothetical thinking, but he made a big impact on Memphis. We talked about Memphis all year in the AAC. It was them, Tulane, and Army were like the three big teams in that.
Yeah, we talked about Blake Watson,
Mario Anderson, Super Mario Anderson, the running back.
Yeah.
Memphis had a damn good year.
Yeah. We talked about Blake Watson too as well. He came out last year. He was undrafted, but he did come out. And we did a spotlight on him. You can go back and check all of our spotlights from 2004 or 2003, and we have our new spotlights for actually,
I wish we've been around that long.
Yeah, 2024 spotlights, and then we have our 2025 spotlights that we just started here. So yeah. For sure. But yeah, the guy that I kind of like is kind of rising my board is Jackson Dart. He looked pretty good in this. He actually had some good feet work. He actually tossed the ball to Beck a couple times, and he actually had a rush TD too. So and for me, a Dart kind of looks like he's kind of in the mix of kind of that Baker Mayfield kind of field a little bit. He can
gritty
sling it.
Yeah, kind of a gritty. I'm gonna sling one right by your ear. Just that kind of that old school mindset. Yeah, I could get a team like the Saints that could use somebody, because Derek Carr is just milquetoast. He's not very good. He's overpaid. Spencer Rattler's kind of shit. Like, if I'm a team like the Saints, I kind of would welcome a guy like Jackson Dart. Like, hey, let's start over. Let's see what we got with Jackson Dart. Especially in the middle of the second round. Sign me up. But let's go.
Yeah, because Dart, I just mentioned, Dart was like the top 10th or the 10th overall fantasy guy in fantasy. He was the 10th overall.
And he was, but beyond fantasy, Jay, he was number 1 or number 2 in a bunch of passing categories. Just efficiency. Beyond the fantasy stats. The guy was just elite. Like, in all these different passing categories, he was an elite. He was an elite.
Well, to think about it, there was only 6 guys that threw over 4,000 some odd yards, and Dart was the third highest to
hit over 4,200. Yeah.
Yep.
29 touchdowns, 6 picks. Monster year.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for the guys that were, pass heavy, and to think about it, Nussmeier was up in that conversation too as well, and,
Yep.
you know, far as touchdown wise, I think Dart was a little bit less, but I mean, like 29 some odd touchdowns, I believe. Yeah, 29. So I mean, 10th overall. So I mean, not bad all. I mean, Mississippi. I mean, not Mississippi. Ole Miss is always kind of in the the target. I mean, we talked about freaking Carroll. I mean, he was kind of in that. He was kind of a runner, gunslinger kind of thing. But he was the downfall with him. He was one and done. I love fucking Carroll coming out of from Old Miss. I was all hyped up because he was kind of like a runner. I mean, he can throw it and he kind of ran too as well. But I mean, I just no one probably didn't really like what he had kind of going on. The Panthers. I mean, he got drafted to the Panthers, and now he's a UCFL kind of guy now. So I mean, that's where he's been playing. So I mean, is Dart can. I think Dart's a little bit better than him, so I think Dart will be around for a little while.
Yeah. You know what? I like Dart where he's projecting. Riley Leonard, I like as a mid-round guy. I think that's a perfect spot for him. I'd be okay with the Bucks took him in the 4th round. I'd be okay with that. And then Hennigan, kind of as a random 3rd string quarterback someday. Yeah, I definitely. So I think all 3 of these guys will play in the NFL at some point. But yeah, Dart's definitely got the highest fantasy value, like where it's projecting, because Dart's got the best chance to be a quarterback 1 and the soonest as well. So keep an eye on Jackson Dart and see where he's going to land. And we might do coming up here in the next month or 2, we might do a mock dynasty draft just to
we need we need to jump on one of those and
just kind of gauge things before the NFL draft. We want to do one just to gauge where things are at, help guys out. But now, you know what, Jay? I've had my fix of football. You want to talk a little NBA?
Yeah, let's
turn the lights down real low.
Low.
What the fuck is wrong with the NBA? The fuck is wrong with that? Yeah. Put the kids to bed.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus is right. What the fuck is wrong with the NBA? This went from like PG-13 to R-rated real quick. Jimmy Butler to the Warriors.
Yeah.
Luka to the Lakers. Like, our team's just giving away players now. Well, they got Anthony Davis in return, Eli, and the whoever the fuck it was. What are the Pistons got some like trash? As part of that Jimmy Butler deal, I forget who else was traded. It was like some other.
Yeah, we had De'Aaron Fox from the Kings traded.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox going to the Spurs. Team him up with Wemby.
Yeah, I was just minding my own business, and next thing you know, I'm like, Luka traded to the Lakers, and I'm like, just out of the blue, I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I love the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, they're about the only team I end up kind of. I play little. Both of us, we play a little bit, fantasy basketball or whatever. And Luka's the top guy we all try to chase in the 1st round right away. For a franchise, for Luka being pretty much their franchise player, I think the other thing too was, I was seeing rumors that he was out of shape and yada, just little things like that. I'm like, what?
I'm sorry, that's a cop out. Shaq was out of. How many years was Shaq out of shape with the Lakers, and how many titles did they win? How many MVPs did he win? Like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, he's the face of the Mavericks.
Yeah, he was. And that's why they came and bought. That's why they came and freaking bought merch from the Dallas Mavericks.
It was 77. They came for Luka.
Yes.
Jamie's not the he's not the biggest NBA fan anymore. But if he were to if Jamie were to name a favorite team, it'd be the Mavericks, right?
Of course. So, yeah, that Mavericks.
So this hits close to home with you. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, Anthony Davis, look, when he was walking into the arena, I saw. I think I was watching like ESPN or something. He looked like angry, like he was with the Mavs, or like Anthony Davis had hustle issues when he was with the Lakers. You think he's really going to try go all out for the Mavs, like him and Kyrie Irving or whatever other fucking team? How many superstars have the Mavericks let go the last couple of years? They got rid of Jalen Brunson. They got rid of then they have Porzingis.
Yeah,
he's not really a superstar, but they let Porzingis go, and then they lose fucking Luka.
And the next night they got beat by it was almost was it 80 some odd points in the first half? I mean, they got whooped bad.
They did this because they didn't want to pay him a 5-year max contract. And I'm thinking, Jay, I'm thinking the same thing with the Kings. The Kings didn't want to pay De'Aaron Fox a 5-year max contract. And so on. These teams are moving off these guys and I get it. If you don't think he's worth a max contract, that's fine. But you got in the NBA, you got to pay fucking somebody.
Oh yeah,
this isn't.
It's for me to see a lot of
bullshit.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like it's kind of like when you see a lot of these max contracts. It's kind of like It's kind of like the Patrick Holmes contracts. You see these big contracts handed out. They're going to be there for a little while. Holmes was young. He was still young and whatnot. A lot of these guys are getting these max contracts. They're young. I mean, they're just hooping. It's not as physical as the NFL. The NBA is not quite that physical. I mean, you get a little physical down the paint, but I mean, you're not freaking throwing elbows. You're not wearing pads or anything like that and whatnot. You're not getting injured left and right like the NFL is.
He's because he's a little bit pudgy and whatever Luke is, 25 or whatever.
Yeah, he's only 25. I mean, shit. I mean,
stupid.
Hell, if the guy wanted to, he probably could lose some weight. But I mean,
easily, he's a professional fucking athlete. These guys can
shed weight
whenever the fuck they. These NBA guys like to, Zion Williamson likes to impregnate women and stuff his face with
now. See, that's a guy we should be talking. I mean,
yeah,
the guy who's overweight. I mean, a bigger guy. Zion can't even.
They won't trade his ass.
They can't even play a full NBA season. This guy's out for months.
He's out for months. You can't even
trust a guy like that.
Yeah, and he, and he sounds like what's that? Hey, he sounds like Fat Albert, sounds like damn Fat Albert is what he sounds like.
But I mean, that's the thing I think about him. I mean, Luka, and I mean, to think about, they want to, kind of throw him on the, the dartboard, he's overweight. I mean, look at a guy like Zion, that he can't even stay healthy enough to play a full NBA season, and to graduate, tell him that he was overweight and what. I mean, he was putting up more points than LeBron during the season. He was putting up 32 or 34 points a game. Yeah, and you want to call him overweight? That's bullshit.
I don't care. I mean, like I said, he sells jerseys, he scores points. The Mavs went to a Western Conference Finals with him.
Well, not anymore.
Best player. Okay, where the fuck would your franchise be without him? Sorry, he makes you relevant. Now the Lakers are laughing.
Yeah, well,
Lakers are laughing.
Mavericks
we'll get them to lose.
Mavericks think they're not irrelevant anymore because they'll be down there with the Raptor, the horrible teams like the Clippers and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Davis doesn't give a shit. He's gonna force his way out of there. He'll go Jimmy Butler and force his way out of there. It's you're fucking dumb. You set the Lakers up for the next 10 years. Thank you. Here you go.
I'm not even a Lakers fan, and now I have to try to somehow like the Lakers or some shit.
Right. Lesser of two evils. And then Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors. He was dogging it with the Heat for the longest time and playing games, and
he's been in the NBA for way too long too. And
he's a middle-aged dude. He's fucking middle-aged man, just about. What the he acts like he's acting like a fucking child. Get the fuck over it. You're a multi. He just signed he signed a 2-year, $120 million deal or $121 million. That's $60 million a year.
Dude, take the money and just play basketball, dude. I mean, come on now.
Take the 2-year deal and retire, and then get to play with Curry and Draymond Green and all those guys and see if you can make a championship run or whatever the fuck. But it's that he kind of fucked over the Heat.
Them they suspended him. Then he came back in 2 days, and then he was suspended again. And it's almost like it's kind of like almost like the NFL. The
Right.
whole
Who they
the
get
Chiefs
who did he get, Wiggins? Who'd they get,
yeah,
Andrew
I'm not sure.
Anybody gives a shit about nobody's given a shit about Andrew Wiggins since he was drafted with the Timberwolves, like, how many fucking years ago,
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about Andrew Wiggins. He's not very good.
Yeah, it's kinda like it's kinda like the NFL dealing with the refs to, like, oh, the refs are helping, the Chiefs cheat to get to another
Yeah.
Super Bowl. It's kinda like it's kinda like that. It's kinda like one of those situations where, well,
Much.
just a lot of insubordination stuff, and then it's like, just I don't know. I like watching basketball. At the same, I really haven't watched basketball. I mean, I like basketball. Then it makes it hard to watch basketball when you got things like that. And you can say that about the NFL too. I mean,
How the
I
fuck
mean, each sport has their own ups and downs.
Yeah. No, I agree, but, like, how the fuck can you get invested in any of these teams when you're, when and they're in, like, good sized markets? Like, is the NBA hurting that bad? Or you're that thrifty about not paying your top star? It's like, where the fuck were the Kings before De'Aaron Fox? They went,
Right?
like, didn't they go, like, 17 years without the playoffs or something, some fucking crazy,
Well,
or
they didn't have Mike Williams to help them out anymore.
Yeah, no, they ain't got fucking they got a pot
Uh,
to piss in anymore. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Like, I thought they were gonna build something there in Sacramento. They got him and
yeah, I love Fox
Sabonis,
down there.
Sabonis
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, Sabonis, yep. I mean, or yeah, I love I mean, those 2 guys were a match, they just needed a couple more pieces. And
Yeah,
I mean, I
and they
like
fucked
what
it
the
up.
Kings were doing. Yeah, I don't know why, but now they're just gonna make the Spurs look better now, since the
Now
Spurs
the
were
Spurs,
kinda.
yeah, within a couple of years, the Spurs will be back. They'll be back to being like a top, 3 or 4 Western Conference team. Just watch.
Yeah.
They'll be back. It ebbs and flows. Lakers will be back. The top of the conference will be like something like the whatever maybe the T-Wolves. Maybe the T-Wolves stay up there with Anthony Edwards, but it'd be like the
Yeah.
Lakers, Spurs, Wolves. Maybe the Thunder. Maybe the Thunder can kind of stay up there with Alexander, the stud. But yeah, no, it's some of the trades. We had to comment on this shit, man. It was never like this. You'd have like maybe one superstar trade, or not even quite a superstar. You'd have like maybe like a borderline all-star kind of level guy moving. But now you have, like, I mean, they were talking Kevin Durant moving again. Like, how many fucking
Yeah.
teams has Kevin Durant been on? Like, this, it just gets old. I mean, it creates interest for us for a little bit, but then once the trade's complete, we're just like, what the fuck is wrong with this league? What is wrong
Yeah.
with these teams?
Yeah,
But
for sure. And then well, let's see here. So the Pelicans trade Brandon Ingram to the Raptors for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and two for two
what's the
two
point
picks.
of that? It's like, must be a salary cap dump or something. Like, they're both
Yeah,
like, the fucking Raptors are shit. Like, what do they want
pretty
with
much.
Brandon Ingram? So it's to me, it's but NBA's always done that. They've done salary cap dumps. Like, they'll get
Yeah,
rid
I
of.
mean, it's kind of like the NFL too. I mean, we have our guys are, like we have the Higgins guys coming out too. I mean, you got their contract coming up, and they don't want to pay them.
Yep.
So some other
Yep.
teams, So I mean, guess you can kind of say a similarity. I mean, the Lakers dealing Walter Connect, Cam Reddish, and picked Mark Williams to the Hornets. So they swapped picks for the Hornets. So I mean, the Hornets been trash team for a long time. They need to, I mean, the Melo Ball. I mean, they need to get some. They need to get
LaMelo
some.
Ball, yeah.
I mean, the shit. I
All
mean,
those
when was it?
all those Ball brothers, Jamie. The Ball, yeah, they call them the Ball brothers. They're all
Yeah. Well, just saying in general. I mean, when was the last time the Hornets were relevant in an NBA game? I mean,
probably since fucking Larry Johnson was there when we were growing. Remember those? Remember those
Muggsy
Hornet?
Bogues.
Remember the badass looking Hornet? The
Yeah,
Hornet starter jackets and the Larry
yeah,
Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. It's been
yeah,
probably been 30 years since they've been at their peak or interesting.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that was about it. And we just kind of wanted to mention the Luka trade and the Fox, and then the Jimmy Butler. Just to wrap up our night over here.
Yep.
So, but I mean,
It's our show, damn it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we don't actually stream at like, pretty much midnight. We're usually past
Do
out
now.
sleeping. Right? But it's been fun. We've had some nice views coming up in here. I mean, if you guys had any comments, you guys could have just jumped in and made your voice opinionated out there and whatnot. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. But other than that,
We don't hate.
we
We
yeah.
appreciate.
Yeah, pretty
Remember
much.
that.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Other than that, we hope you guys enjoyed our stream. We pretty much kind of, just our overviews of the Shrine Bowl, um, Senior Bowl, and all those good guys, and all those talks, and just some risers and stuff like that to kind of put names out there for you guys to kind of reflect on and maybe take a
Names
little
and
bit.
faces. Yep.
Yeah, a little bit more maybe look into and whatnot. But yeah, but we'll put I'll put a couple McCord and a couple of those links up in the corner over there for you guys to check out when you guys do. And we're gonna try to get some more spotlights too, because if you guys haven't, we got some spotlights out on our YouTube channel there. So we're gonna try to hit up many spotlights as we can before the NFL draft and whatnot. So other than that, I don't think there's anything else to say but to wrap this up and get the hell up out of here.
Yep. Time to go to bed. Time to put the kids to bed.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about right. But other than that, hey guys, check us out on Spotify. Like and subscribe to the channel. Share this around with everybody. And we got and Apple Pod and all that good fancy stuff. Instagram, Discord, and whatnot. So if you guys want to join our Discord, we can talk some more NFL prospects, NFL Dynasty, or whatever you guys feel like you want to talk about. Come in, join us, start up the banter, and yeah, I think that's about it, man. I think it's time for us to skeet up and out of here. Other than that, stay tuned. We'll be back at you at some time and some point, sometime. I don't know when, but stay tuned for some spotlights coming out too as well. We're gonna get back on those, and but yeah, other than that, we will see you guys next time. Other than that, we'll see you guys later.